Hello everyone, Mr. Gerain here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I just want to take a couple minutes out of your busy day to go over something that I feel is one of the absolute most important aspects of martial arts, and that is progression. No matter who you are or what belt level you are, how old you are, progression is key, right? As much as we all know, it is by no means not a race to go through our belt system. There's a procedure we have to go through that I'm going to talk about towards the end of this video. But sometimes I think a lot of us either have fallen away from or maybe never knew in the first place just how the structure works. Why do we stripe test? How do we stripe test? When should we stripe test? Who should be the one initiating the stripe test? So I want to make sure we make it very clear, because although all new members took a little quick tour with me through our success journal that everyone has, and all the information is here. It might have been a little while for some of you, or for others it was maybe it was just a lot of information. So I want to make sure that everyone knows just exactly how to use this book for success, and just to kind of reiterate some of the things that we've gone over before. So the first thing I want to cover is when. How often should we be stripe testing on our belts? And that really is unique to each individual. There's no such thing as an average. Everyone always says, how long does it take? How long is the average? There's no average. There's not really such a thing as slow progression or fast progression. It just depends on the student. A lot of times we as people, as humans, have a bad habit of comparing ourselves to others, and that's not really fair to us, to ourselves, because you don't know what the other person has done. You don't know what their journey is, so it's really not fair to compare ourselves to other people. The first thing we have to remember is we do have a limit of 1 stripe per calendar month that we do on our belt. It's not 1 test per month, because you can test as many times as you need to, but once you receive the stripe, it is 1 stripe per calendar month, period. So I'm going to come back to what that means, because I know I get a lot of questions about that. We're going to cover the whys towards the end of this video for those that are interested in knowing. So the first page I want to show you in your success journal, we're only going to go through 3 quick pages today. And the first one is page number 3. This shows you exactly all the belts, white, yellow, orange, all the way through. And you can even see where it says stripe 1, stripe 2, stripe 3. We're going to cover what stripe means what as well for those that aren't sure. But basically, this is a tracking system. So you, your child, or both can use this. So when you receive that 2nd stripe or that 3rd stripe on your green belt, you can record the date that it takes place. Because although, yes, I do track every single student in my tracking methods, everyone always tends to ask me, did I stripe test this month? Am I due for a stripe? And I'm more than happy to let you know, but this is what this is for. So before that even becomes an issue or that's the first challenge, is just check. Write down when you progress through something. This is the number 1 key aspect of success. You can't set goals if you don't know how far along you've come or how much is left. It's impossible. So that's what this is for. Use it, write in it. It's your book. Use it to your advantage. The second page we're going to go over is page number 20. And that's 20, 21, 22, depending on your belt level. And that's where at white belt, yellow belt, and beyond into the other belts, right? We got green and blue. Keep in mind, for those that aren't sure, purple belt is the same as orange belt. We just started to implement left-handed stuff, so the curriculum's still technically the same. But check it out. Let's use white belt as your example. At white belt, you have all your basic techniques and your self-defenses written down for you. Now, this is not a cheat sheet per se. It's a study tool. It's a tracking system. So if you come home from karate one day and you worked on your jab cross, for example, you can check it off. You can make notes. You can maybe book a private lesson with something if you're not sure what to do with it. And when everything is checked off, you know you're ready to test. So if I happen to ask you, would you like to test? And you know you've checked the stuff off, it's like, sure, of course I do. I want to be confident with my testing and not be scared of it. Techniques come first, because that is the first stripe on our belts that we do, that I'm going to come back to. The 2nd stripe is on the self-defense. Look, there it is right there. And it works the same with all the belts as well. I find that this is one of the most important yet most ignored sections of this booklet. If you're not using this book at home, the question becomes, why not? It's there for you. As much as parents and coaches, it's our job to guide children and guide students and athletes towards success. the more independent they can be and learn how to do this, the more successful they become with it, and not just with this, with anything that they do. And that's why we have these books, to show them you will always have the tools that you need to be successful. Use them. They're there for you. Because one of the questions I ask kids when they want a stripe test is, well, do you know your techniques, or do you know your self-defense? And they go, well, I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't even checked. Well, why are we trying a stripe test if we don't know the answers yet? Now, one of the big misconceptions I think is important to cover is that no one is expected to memorize what all this says in order. No one ever said, have you memorized it? It's just, do you know them? So in other words, I don't expect a 5-year-old white belt to recite all these off the top of their head. No, that's not the point. Just if I were to say jab or cross or front kick or yellow belt, do a side kick or a reverse punch, they just, when they hear the words, they just need to be able to demonstrate it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just basic understanding is all we look for. The only thing I want to make clear is that when students want to receive that stripe and test for the stripe, it's never just a giveaway, right? You need to test for it and show that you know it. It kind of blows my mind a little bit how many students, mostly kids, they want to test, but they have no idea what they're testing on. And that's where I have to stop them and go, that's not what I'm trying to teach you here. I'm not trying to teach you that rewards come for free. You have to work hard for it. You have to review your stuff. And when you do get that stripe, it's a reward. It's something to be happy about, and it's something to be proud about because you achieved it. I didn't give it to you. Mom and dad didn't tell me to give it to you. You earned it. And that's where the positive motivation and earning when it comes to success comes in. And we want to obviously teach our youth how to do that. So that's where this page is so useful. Use it as much as you can, especially if the student wants to initiate the stripe test, as I would like them to do. And we're going to cover that as well. As long as they've checked this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be memorized. Just check it before you come to class. If the plan is to stripe test after class is done, which is usually when we do it, just take 2 minutes and look at it before you come to class. Just like we study before a test in school. It works the same way, right? The last page we're going to go over is page number 34. And this is where, depending on your membership, most of us are Evade members. Some of you are BBM members. Now, if you're a kinder student, it follows the same as the Evade. It's the same process. And it tells you exactly what the stripe will be on. If you're going for your first stripe, it's your basic techniques, that page we just did. If you're going for your second stripe, that's the self-defense we just did. In kinder, we call it stranger danger. You're going for your third stripe, that's your fitness, your push-ups and sit-ups. And if you're not sure about how many you're supposed to do, typically the number of sets we do in our classes, there's a correlation between how many you're expected to do in class versus what the test is on. And if ever we're not sure, we have it listed up on the walls inside the dojo that I can always show them. And then your fourth stripe, which is the red stripe, that's overall, everything at the same time. And that's when you get invited to grade for a new belt once you get the red stripe. And I always come off and talk to students about that. And then if you're a BBM member, the order is slightly different. Third stripe is actually on your katas. And BBM members know what that's all about too. So going back to everything that I just talked about, those are your basics when it comes to stripe testing. So in kindergarten, I kind of manage it. They don't really have to do too much. I kind of move it along, right? They're not really expected to know how to do this just yet. I think it's important that moms and dads still kind of get them familiar with this book in the beginning to start to set them up for that habit in life when it comes to being successful and reviewing your stuff and studying for tests as we get older. In the Big Kids class, in the Evade class, and the BBM class, this is where they may not be able to read every single word for word because some of the words are a little big. It might be hard for their reading skills, but moms and dads, it's one of those things where in martial arts, like most life skills and activities and education, the number one cause for success in youth these days is parental involvement, parental support. And the number one cause for failure in these things is lack of parental support. There is a correlation. It's not a coincidence, right? So this is where moms and dads can take 5 minutes and just read through it, just say it out loud, let them try to figure it out, let them say yes or no, make notes if we have to, and show them, right? Show them what it takes, because we don't want our children to come to karate or any activity for that matter and just kind of expect results. All I have to do is show up and I'm going to get what I want. No, showing up's not what causes it. It's performance is what causes it. The last thing we want is for them to also want a stripe test and have no idea what they're doing, because although I will just stop the test and go, I'm not failing you, I just want to pause because I don't really quite think you understand what we need to do just yet. I don't want them thinking like that's a failure either. So let's make sure we cover like the why aspect and the how. I prefer when class is done, bye-bye boys and girls, see you later, they can walk to the back of the floor and they sit down crisscross or stand natural stance, whichever they prefer. And that tells me, before I leave, I would like to test for my stripe. That's what that means. So some of you parents might have already seen that happen. That's not a detention for the kids or anything, right? No, they're the ones doing it. They're taking initiative saying, hey, look, I know I haven't done a stripe test this month yet. I've checked my stuff. I've reviewed it. I would like to test for my stripe. I want to give it a go. That's what that means. And I always ask them, have you stripe tested this month? And if they go, I don't know, I go, well, how do you know then? How are we going to find that out? Before I just give them the answer, because that's not how we learn things, right? Is I want them to take the initiative and use their tracking system. And then I ask them, which stripe are you going for? And if they say the first stripe or the second stripe, I go, well, that's not the answer I'm looking for. I can see how many stripes you have. I can count too. But what is the stripe test? Is it techniques? Is it self-defense? What is it? I want them to at least know what the topic is or the subject. Why sit down to do a test at school if you don't even know what the test is on, right? That's the first step towards failure. And thirdly, I say, okay, if you know what you're testing for, do you know it? Have you at least checked it? Do you have some sort of idea? And if they go, yeah, I'm pretty sure, some sort of positive answer. They don't have to say yes, absolutely 100%, although that's a great answer. Some sort of positivity. If they shrug their shoulders or go, I have no idea, I don't even test them. I go, well, I don't know how well this test is going to go if you don't even know what you're doing, right? That's what this is for. And eventually I do start to take over and I start to guide them through and I start to push for it, because not all children are capable of doing this, and not all children have parents to help them in this sort of thing as well, possibly because parents just aren't sure how to do it, which is what I think this video is going to be helpful for. The one stripe per calendar month, we got to make it clear. There is no exceptions. You receive one stripe in October or one in November or one in September. That's that. If you don't get your stripe in that calendar month, there is no makeup. It doesn't matter what your answer is. I was away for the month. I was sick. I missed this. I'm sorry, everyone. Believe it or not, this is not my rule. It is one stripe per calendar month, no exceptions. Just because your brother or sister got one because they weren't sick, but you were, being sick is part of life. You're going to miss out on things. I'm sorry it happened. Do your best the following month. There's no such thing as 2 stripes per month as a makeup stripe. And when I say it's not my decision, I'm not lying. I mean it sincerely. Yes, I may own this location for the karate school, but we are a franchise. The franchise all has the same rule because we report our black belts when we issue black belts to a governed body, Ontario Karate Federation. You can go on their website and look us up there. We have to follow their rules, which I sign a contract on every single month stating I will follow the rules when it comes to progression. They have other rules we have to follow too. Like we have to be open a certain amount of days. We have to have our prices up on display. We have to have our belts up on display to show the order. There's other things they want us to. Curriculum has to be available to students, which is what this is for. There's other rules that we have to follow in order to be accepted by them as a registered karate facility. A lot of places don't follow the rules because it's a lot to keep track of. It's also a little expensive on our end because there is like a registration fee we have to do. But that is one of the rules. So whenever I get asked the question, and it happens every month someone asks, I didn't get a stripe last month, can I get it this month? And I respect everyone's reason. I trust all of you. You didn't get your stripe last month for whatever reason, because you feel you had a great reason. I agree. I'm sure you do have a great reason. It's not my discretion, because then now all of a sudden I'm making decisions. If it was my discretion, I'll let you do it, but I'm not going to let that child do it because I don't like their reason. I like your reason, but not them. That's called favoritism. That doesn't happen here, right? Everyone is treated equally here. Just like if I was a student, I would want to be treated equally too. But again, going back to the stripe procedure, it is 1 per calendar month. And it's a calendar month, not every 30 days. You get a stripe on October 30th, you can get a stripe on November 1st, right? Because it's a different calendar month and it's very black and white at that point. So I want to make sure everyone understands that part of it as well. So I hope that really helps everyone kind of better understand how the striping works. If ever you're unsure or unclear, As you know, I'm here for questions. I'm more than happy to take advantage of a couple minutes here and there just to kind of answer some questions. But I really hope we quickly review this book now and you know exactly what to do with it. And if ever there's a technique or a self-defense that you just still haven't done yet and you want a stripe test and you're not sure about it, please take advantage of our free booking app that went out recently. You can book a free private lesson any day after school. Saturday, Sundays, we're open 7 days a week. Please take full advantage and get that done. That way we can keep progressing, because progress is the number one thing that everyone wants to make sure we do. And at the end of the day, it's about building confidence and discipline in our young minds of today. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So I really hope this helps everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And thanks so much for watching the video. Bye-bye.